If you're confused about which position your elbows should be at on any given day, you're not alone. Now, this is a strange one, guys. ICE ordering fleet of 20 armored vehicles from a Brampton, Ontario firm. That's right, this company, Roshel. They are a Canadian defense manufacturer, and they just scored a $10 million contract to produce 20 armored vehicles for the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And if it's your first time here, make sure you're subscribed down below, hit the like button on your way in, and leave me a comment on your way out and join the conversation. Now, I want to get right into this story here because this is a strange one. This is one of those articles that I come across and I think to myself, am I reading The Onion or is this even real? But it's true. And what makes it so unbelievable is the fact that Canadians have spent the last several years listening to our liberal politicians and members of our legacy media drone on and on about the domestic policy of the United States under Donald Trump, specifically when it comes to immigration. That's why I found it so hard to believe that a Canadian company is manufacturing armored vehicles for ICE. Now, this is ridiculous, so let's dive into it. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement earmarked millions of dollars for a bulk order for 20 armored vehicles from Canadian defense manufacturer Roshel that are built to resist bullets and bomb blasts. Yeah, that's right. These aren't your typical Jeeps. These are military-grade equipment. Now, the U.S. government procurement records show the department laying out plans for a rush order worth the equivalent of about 10 million Canadian for 20 Senator Stang emergency response tactical vehicles. The justification for the sole source order was published in a partially redacted document on a U.S. federal procurement website on November 26th, and the site says the contract was awarded on November 28th. So they're moving quickly on this. The Donald Trump administration wants these vehicles in 30 days, and apparently they couldn't find an American manufacturer who could meet that timeline. So they turned to Canada. Now, in the interest of fairness, I would like to point out that this has nothing to do with the Liberal Party, at least on the surface. Now, Roshel is, again, a private company, so they are free to do business with whoever they want. Now, the reaction to this, however, is sure to be interesting. Here's a tweet from the Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East. A Canadian company is supplying armored vehicles to Trump's barbaric deportation squads. The government must intervene to stop this contract for ICE. Now, if you voted for Mark Carney because you honestly believed his rhetoric about how our relationship with the United States is over, and you're thinking that the government here is going to do what you perceive to be the right thing, I have bad news for you. You're going to have to continue to live with the cognitive dissonance that must be rattling around inside your head. Now, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand won't say whether Canada would block export of armored vehicles for ICE use. Of course the government isn't going to intervene on this one. Why would they? Now, I could be wrong, however, this is a developing story, and after all, never put it past the Liberals to sacrifice Canadian prosperity and jobs for their own political gains. But let's not forget that the USMCA is up for review in less than a year. Carney's elbows are way down. He's trying to prove to Trump that he is willing to play ball, and despite what he campaigned on, he is very much going to suck up to Donald Trump. This combined with the fact that Doug Ford is actually acting like a conservative on this one. That's right, guys, this is a rare moment where Doug Ford isn't being a total blowhard, and it just goes to show you the hypocrisy when money is involved. So this article is from Global. Now, Doug Ford says that this is fantastic news. That's fantastic. I've been through the plant, Ford said when asked about the news on Wednesday. They make great military vehicles. And he goes on to say, I know it's ironic, but that's all right, Ford said. We'll take orders anywhere in the world, and thank goodness that the Americans are ordering it off us. This is the same Doug Ford that threatened to cut off electricity to New York State. The same Doug Ford that pulled all American alcohol off of the shelves of the LCBO. The same Doug Ford that dumped out a bottle of Crown Royal like a total buffoon. A Canadian company, by the way, after they closed one plant in Manitoba. Now, to the surprise of nobody, Mark Carney has yet to make a statement on this. And Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand isn't saying one way or the other what's going to happen, and now Doug Ford is giving it his blessing. It's a pretty good indication that Nothing is going to happen on this one, and it's going to go forward. Now, the NDP, on the other hand, has at least one MP coming out to criticize it. NDP MP Jenny Kwan said Wednesday she's deeply and profoundly troubled because the ICE agency has been credibly accused of human rights abuses. She says, "I think Canadians expect our industries and our government to uphold human rights domestically and internationally and not enable the further militarization of an organization whose conduct already puts vulnerable people at great risk," she told the Canadian press. And as for the Conservative Party of Canada, they have yet to say anything. And in my opinion, at least, that's the way it should be. We need to see more cooperation between Canada and the United States, not less. But that's going to be my show for today, guys. And now I want to turn it over to you folks in the comments. What do you make of all this? Do you think it's a good idea for Canada to be manufacturing these vehicles for ICE? Do you think that the government should intervene? I'd like to know your thoughts. And as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Johnny from Nova Scotia says thank you. Hey, Johnny from Nouvelle-Écosse, il dit merci, thank you.
Thanks to you. God bless you.
Perfect.
We're from Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec.